The rain poured mercilessly that evening, drenching the lonely man who swept the marble floors of the grandest corporate tower in the city. His old shoes squeaked against the tiles, his mop dripping with the same rhythm as his tired heart. To everyone else, he was invisible, just a janitor in a wrinkled blue uniform, pushing a cart filled with cleaning supplies. But behind those weary eyes was a storm far greater than anyone could imagine. His name was Daniel Hayes, and that night, as lightning split the sky outside, he silently promised himself that one day, he'd rise again, not for revenge, not for pride, but for his little girl who waited for him in a small, dimly lit apartment at the edge of town. Sparkles, if you believe in kindness, hard work, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's spread hope together. Sparkles. Daniel hadn't always been a janitor. Years ago, he was a man with dreams, a husband, a father who built a small tech startup from scratch. He poured his soul into that company. His late wife, Claire, stood by him, cheering him on as they dreamed of a better life for their daughter, Lily. But when cancer took Claire away, Daniel's world collapsed. In his grief, he made mistakes, trusted the wrong people, and lost everything to a ruthless business partner who manipulated him into signing away his rights. Within months, the man who once stood behind a CEO's desk was left with nothing but debt, grief, and a 6-year-old daughter who asked him every night, "Daddy, why are you sad?" To survive, Daniel took the only job he could find, as a janitor in one of the very companies that had profited from his downfall. Life, it seemed, had a cruel sense of irony. The company was called Eternitech, a billion-dollar empire run by a stunning, sharp, and famously heartless CEO named Victoria Lane. Her name carried weight in every business magazine, her confidence radiated power, and her eyes, cold and blue as winter steel, could make even seasoned executives tremble. Daniel first met her on his 3rd week of work. He was mopping the hallway outside her office late at night when she stormed out, frustrated over a failed merger. Her high heels clicked sharply on the marble floor as she turned, almost slipping on the still wet tiles. "Are you blind?" she snapped, glaring at Daniel. "Do you even know who I am?" Daniel quietly apologized, bowing slightly, his voice soft but calm. "I'm sorry, ma'am." "I didn't mean," she interrupted with a scoff, her lips curling into a cruel smile. "You're just a janitor. Know your place." Then she walked away, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and cold humiliation behind. That phrase echoed in Daniel's heart for weeks. "You're just a janitor." It wasn't the first time he'd heard words like that, but something about the way she said it, as if his worth was measured only by his uniform, ignited a quiet fire inside him. He didn't lash out, didn't argue. He just kept working, one mop stroke at a time, saving every penny he could, learning everything he overheard from the executives who passed by. What they didn't know was that while Daniel cleaned floors, he also cleaned up his mind, rebuilding his lost knowledge, sketching new ideas, and planning his silent comeback. At home, his daughter Lily was his light. She had her mother's gentle smile and her father's stubborn hope. Every night, after finishing his shift, Daniel would sit beside her as she did her homework, pretending that life was normal. They lived in a small apartment, their walls cracked, the heater often broken. Yet Lily would always say, "It's okay, Daddy. We have each other." Her innocence became his strength. Months turned into years, and Daniel's quiet life continued. But behind that humble existence, something incredible was happening. During his few hours of free time, Daniel coded. He developed software ideas he once dreamed of, tools that could revolutionize the digital security industry. Using an old laptop and outdated hardware, he built something extraordinary, a new encryption system that was faster, smarter, and safer than anything on the market. He called it LilyLock, after his daughter. He tried pitching it to investors, but no one took a janitor seriously. Doors were slammed in his face. Emails went unanswered. Still, Daniel refused to quit. He believed in his creation. Finally, after months of effort, a small but reputable venture capitalist named Henry Cortez saw potential in his prototype. "You've got something special here," Henry said after reviewing it. "You just need the right push." That push came faster than Daniel could imagine. Within 2 years, LilyLock grew from a tiny home-based operation to a thriving company offering cutting-edge cybersecurity solutions. Clients from around the world sought his technology. Daniel stayed humble, working behind the scenes, never appearing in public interviews. Nobody knew that the mysterious founder of Lilylock was once a janitor mopping floors in Eternitech, and then fate turned full circle. Eternitech, the company once led by the arrogant Victoria Lane, began to crumble. Poor leadership decisions, risky investments, and internal corruption drove its profits into the ground. Their cybersecurity system failed disastrously during a massive data breach, exposing millions of users. Desperate to survive, the board of directors pushed for a buyout, their top choice for acquisition? Lilylock Technologies. When Victoria walked into the boardroom for the merger discussion, she had no idea who she was about to meet. The doors opened, and there stood Daniel, now wearing a sleek tailored suit, his eyes calm, confident, and kind. The same man she once mocked stood before her as the CEO of the company that was about to buy hers. Victoria froze. For a moment, she didn't even recognize him. But as he spoke, his voice steady and composed, realization hit her like a storm. "Good afternoon, Ms. Lane," he said with a faint smile. "It's been a while." Her face turned pale. You're that janitor." Daniel nodded. "I was." Then he turned to the board and began his presentation, his words sharp but professional, his ideas visionary. He explained how Lilylock could integrate with Eternitech's failing infrastructure, how he could save the company from collapse under one condition: complete ownership transfer. By the end of the meeting, the papers were signed. The janitor had bought the empire of the woman who once laughed at him. When the deal closed, Victoria stood silently by the window, her pride shattered. She finally turned and said, her voice trembling, "Why? After how I treated you, why not humiliate me the way I did to you?" Daniel looked at her, his expression gentle. "Because I'm not here to hurt anyone. Life already does enough of that. I just wanted to prove that kindness and hard work can't be swept away, not even by cruelty." Then he walked out, leaving her in tears. Under Daniel's leadership, Eternitech was reborn. He restructured the company, focused on innovation, and gave fair opportunities to workers at every level, including janitors. He made sure no one was ever disrespected for their position again. The story of the janitor who bought his CEO's company spread like wildfire across the internet. News channels, business magazines, and social media called him the humble millionaire. But Daniel never let fame change him. He still took Lily to school himself, still cooked her pancakes on weekends, still told her stories about her mother. When reporters asked him how he managed such success, he always said the same thing: "I just kept cleaning up my mistakes, literally and figuratively." Months later, Victoria visited his office again, not as a rival but as a humbled woman seeking forgiveness. She admitted that his kindness had changed how she saw the world. "I used to think power made people strong," she said softly, "but now I see that compassion does." Daniel simply smiled and told her to use that lesson to make others' lives better. The years rolled on, and Lilylock became one of the most respected companies in the industry. Daniel's story inspired countless others: janitors, waiters, factory workers, people who felt invisible yet dared to dream. He often spoke at universities, reminding young people that no job defines your worth. "What matters," he'd say, "is how you keep going when the world looks down on you." One day, standing in front of a crowd of thousands, he shared his final thought, the one that made everyone's eyes glisten: "When that CEO told me I was just a janitor, she wasn't wrong. I was a janitor. But being a janitor taught me something no boardroom ever could: how to build from the ground up, how to value every small step, how to stay humble. And sometimes, that's what truly makes you rich."